There is something particularly interesting happening in the middle of BTS's North American tour, as all 7 members of BTS continue moving from one city to another, greeting tens of thousands of ARMY and filling some of the biggest stadiums. A surprising show of support has emerged from a place many people may not have expected. This time, it did not come from a musician, nor from someone in the entertainment industry, but from a government official in the United States. Just ahead of BTS's concert in Baltimore, Maryland, Governor Wes Moore personally delivered a welcoming message to BTS and their fans. However, one particular part of his message quickly drew public attention to a much bigger issue: BTS's decision not to submit their work for the 2027 Grammy Awards process. For some ARMY, the governor's words sounded like a show of support for the spirit BTS themselves had expressed. For others, the involvement of a political figure in the conversation raised an entirely different set of questions. So what exactly made what seemed like a simple welcome message for BTS become such a widely discussed topic? Baltimore holds a special place in BTS's North American journey, as the concert is part of their ongoing world tour. Amid the excitement surrounding the arrival of all 7 BTS members, Governor Wes Moore's message immediately caught people's attention. In his remarks, he described BTS as 7 individuals capable of carrying out a much bigger mission, breaking through cultural and language barriers to bring people around the world together. That particular statement became the part that received the most attention because it appeared to echo ideas BTS had previously expressed in their joint statement regarding their decision not to participate in the Grammy process. Because of this, some fans interpreted the governor's words as more than simply a welcome to a global music group visiting Maryland. Instead, they saw them as a possible signal of support for BTS amid the growing debate surrounding the Grammys. Of course, not everyone interpreted the message in the same way. Some ARMY felt it was important to remain cautious and avoid allowing BTS to become too deeply involved in the political sphere. At the same time, many fans welcomed the message positively, viewing it as recognition that BTS's cultural influence has reached an extraordinary level, so much so that their arrival has drawn direct attention from the leader of an American state. The reactions from fans also reflected just how powerful the excitement surrounding the event had become. Some enthusiastically welcomed the governor's message because they felt BTS was receiving the respect they deserved in Maryland. Others believed that a relatively young leader like Wes Moore understood the enormous cultural influence of BTS and the significance of their arrival for Baltimore. Some fans even connected BTS's arrival to the economic impact that could be felt directly throughout the city. Regardless of the political or economic motivations behind the welcome, one thing is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore: BTS's presence is no longer felt only inside the concert venue. Their influence is beginning to appear in public spaces, in conversations among local communities, in media coverage, and even in the economic activity of the cities included in their tour. And when a music group can generate that much attention simply by arriving in a city to perform for a few hours, the question becomes much bigger: just how valuable is BTS's influence in the United States? That question becomes even more intriguing when connected to the controversy surrounding the 2027 Grammy Awards. According to a report cited in this article from the International Business Times, BTS's decision not to participate in the Grammy process has been described as potentially carrying a massive financial impact. The figure being circulated has even reached approximately $340 million US, or more than 4.786 trillion Korean won when converted. Of course, this does not mean that a confirmed loss of that amount has actually occurred. Rather, it's an estimate of the potential impact associated with BTS's absence. Nevertheless, the sheer size of the figure highlights one important point from the perspective of some people within the music industry. BTS's ability to attract audiences and generate public attention is considered extremely valuable. For years, BTS's appearances at major music events have been associated with increased audience interest, social media activity, and global conversation. Therefore, when BTS chooses not to participate, public attention naturally focuses not only on the reasons behind their decision, but also on what their absence could mean for an event as significant as the Grammys. The situation becomes even more intriguing because the Grammys themselves are entering a major period of change. After being broadcast on CBS for decades, the Grammys are scheduled to enter a new era by moving to Disney-owned ABC. The ceremony, scheduled to take place in February 2027, will become one of the most significant moments in the history of Grammy broadcasting. Amid the network transition, the challenge of maintaining audience attention, and ongoing debates over diversity and representation within the music industry, BTS's decision not to submit their work adds another layer to an already complicated situation. For BTS fans, the decision is seen as a stance consistent with the statement the group has already made. From the industry's perspective, however, the absence of one of the biggest names in global music naturally raises questions about just how much it could affect public attention toward the event. And perhaps this is where the meaning behind the expression that you only truly realize someone's presence once they're gone becomes particularly relevant. As long as BTS appeared at the Grammys, the attention surrounding them could easily have been regarded as something normal. But when their name is no longer on the same stage, the value of their presence may actually become even more apparent. The debate surrounding the Grammys is ultimately no longer just about awards or nominations. It has evolved into a broader conversation about influence, representation, popularity, and the power of a group to shape public attention. But to understand just how significant that influence is in the real world, we do not have to rely solely on numbers or statements from the music industry. We can simply look at what happens when BTS actually arrives in a city. The answer has become especially clear throughout their North American tour. One of the most visible examples comes from something incredibly ordinary: traffic. When BTS held concerts in the New York and New Jersey area, the level of attention surrounding their arrival became so significant that public transportation and traffic management themselves became part of the conversation among local residents. One person who shared their experience explained that they had originally wanted to attend the BTS concert with their family. They even hoped to purchase 5 or 6 tickets so they could bring their entire family along. However, getting tickets was not easy, so in the end, they decided not to go alone and instead stayed with their family. Even without entering the stadium, however, they still experienced the impact of BTS's arrival firsthand while taking a train toward New Jersey. Inside the train, a large majority of the passengers turned out to be ARMY. They were easy to recognize from the BTS-related clothing and merchandise they were wearing. And when the train reached certain stops connected to the route toward the concert area, large numbers of passengers got off almost simultaneously. For someone witnessing that scene firsthand, the experience offered a much more concrete picture than simply looking at ticket sales figures or the number of people inside a stadium. Inside a single train, ARMY were filling public spaces. Along the journey toward New Jersey, the presence of BTS felt almost impossible to ignore. The testimony even described how the name BTS continued appearing throughout different parts of the city, from the Times Square area to public transportation and various stores. In other words, a BTS concert does not begin only when the stadium lights go down and the music starts playing. Its impact can already be felt long before the members step onto the stage. BTS bring thousands of people into motion, fill public transportation, crowd the areas surrounding venues, and generate activity that makes their presence visible even to people who are not attending the concert.